Hey everyone, today's lesson is going to be over trophic levels. So our learning objective is we are going to analyze the flow of matter and energy through different trophic levels. So first, before we even get into it, you probably want to know what a trophic level even is. So a trophic level is just the hierarchy systems that are in an ecosystem. And that's what we're going to look at today. Each one of those levels is measured in the terms of energy that they contribute or remove from the ecosystem. So really everything that deals with a trophic level has to do with energy that's being moved around. That's going to be a very important concept, is it's all dealing with how energy is being distributed and moved. So this is what a biomass pyramid looks like, and each one of these is actually a trophic level, which we will talk about further here in just a moment. But how do we even calculate energy in a biomass pyramid? So this is something that you'll have to be able to know how to do. So only 10% of the energy in any level reaches the level above it, or that next level. So when we look at here, okay, the producers are always going to be the bottom of your biomass pyramid. And you can see the energy stored as biomass is 20,000 kilocalories. But when you look up at the very next level, you see there's only 2,000 kilocalories, okay? Only 10% of this amount of energy makes it up to the next level, okay? Because basically you're taking this number and multiplying it by 0.1, which is 10%, in order to get the amount of energy here. And you can see now from this, we have 2,000 in my primary consumers, but only 200 makes it up into the next level, okay? So you're again taking this and multiplying it by 0.1 in order to get the amount of energy here. And that continues all the way up. So you can see all the way up at the top, there is very little energy that's being stored. So most of our biomass is actually here in the producers. The other 90% is actually lost as heat. So you can see these lines being drawn off the side here. A lot of energy is lost as heat. So not a lot of it actually moves its way up each one of these levels. So in our trophic levels, we first have producers, which are also autotrophs. So these organisms make up the base of the entire ecosystem pyramid. They provide all of the energy needed. So this is going to be things like algae, plants, and cyanobacteria. Basically anything that can perform photosynthesis and produce their own food, right? That's why they're called producers. They are creating all of the food through photosynthesis. Heterotrophs, on the other hand, are our consumers. So anything that does not create its own food is going to be a heterotroph. So they consume other organisms, whether that's plants, which are what herbivores do. They just eat other plants. You have omnivores, which eat plants and other heterotrophs, so they could eat other organisms as well. And then we just have carnivores, which only feed on other heterotrophs. So these are the three different types of consumers that we look at here, but all of it goes back to these producers who are creating all of the energy in the entire ecosystem. So when we look at heterotrophs primarily, okay, there are multiple levels. They can be primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. So what happens is these are our autotrophs, or our producers down here. Our primary consumers, you can see here, it says they eat the producers. So these would be like our herbivores. They are only eating these plants down here. And then the secondary consumers are the ones who are eating the primary consumers. The tertiary eats the secondary consumers. So they just are eating the level that is directly below them. So the distinctions, though, are made based on how far removed that consumer is from the producer. So like I said, a secondary consumer is 2 removed from the producer. A tertiary is 3 removed from the producer. So we're always looking at what level consumer they are based upon how far removed are they from this producer right here. So like I said, for example, the secondary consumer eats the primary consumer. So it eats the level right below it, but we also know that it is 2 removed from those producer levels in the first place. So the 2 other things that we look at in trophic levels is first decomposers. So decomposers break down organic matter for other producers to use. These are things like fungi and bacteria. So they're breaking down those carbon molecules in order for other organisms to be able to use it. And then we also have detritivores. So these break down dead matter in the ecosystem to return nutrients to be reused. So this is like dead animals. So in this case, we have things like millipedes and earthworms who are eating or breaking down dead animals in order for those nutrients to be returned back to the soil and ultimately to plants, and then they can work their way back up the trophic levels. So for this particular lesson, you are going to need to know this complete diagram that I have right here. In fact, on your mastery check, you are going to be required to draw out this entire thing for me. So you need to be able to go from primary producers all the way up to the fourth level here of consumers. And I'm going to give you some sort of energy stored, and you're going to have to know how to calculate that for each one. So this 20,000 is not necessarily going to be what you are given, but I will give you the producer one, and you are then going to have to know how to work your way all the way up and tell me how much energy is stored as each. Okay. Please remember to write that there is heat coming off of each level, and that all of these can, when they die, goes to decomposers as well, who can basically restart this. The last thing I want to mention as well is if you'll notice here, where do primary producers get all of their energy? Light, or the sun. So the sun is the basis for everything. If there is no light energy, then none of these producers perform photosynthesis, which means they don't exist and thus nothing else can above. So the basis of everything is going to be this light energy that's coming from the sun. So that's all that I have for you for this lesson, and go explore further.